What if the reason why you cannot enjoy holidays or even weekend trips with your kids is something else than what you thought? What if it's not about the fact that, yes, indeed, it is stressful, it costs time and money to plan, organize, you're dedicating so much energy in making sure everybody is having a great time, and so then when they are not having a great time because they're out of their routines, they're eating too much sugars, then they're overexcited and so happy, and then they crash because maybe they are sleeping in an unfamiliar place, they're not sleeping well overnight, or not sleeping enough, or then they don't like something, and then there's big drama, and you feel like this is not fair, I did everything I can to make everybody happy, and how dare you, you spoiled child, to mess it up for everybody, how dare you not being happy, and so then everybody is having a drama. Oh my gosh, next year we are staying at home. What if the reason was not the stress or your kids' dysregulation or all this pressure to make it perfect? What is really going on underneath? And why is that actually a good news? Because I used to be going in all of this, so that's why I will never judge you. I'm speaking just from my own experience to moms that might resonate with me, and if you're not, then it's okay. But this is exactly what was happening to me. And when I realized that actually, yes, the deeper reasons for this were with me, but that was the good news, because that meant I was no longer the helpless victim, having to make everything outside perfect so that everybody outside of me is happy, so that then I can be happy and I can relax and I can feel like, okay, good job, mama, with planning the holidays. It was not about what's happening outside. I realized I have to go in and I have to rewire some of my old stuff that is older than my daughter. What if that was the key for you as well? Because then indeed, it's not about comparing and judging other moms. How come they can have a great time, not just for their kids, but how come they can enjoy holidays and I cannot? It's not about comparisons and making you feel not good enough, but it's about giving you the power to actually go and do something about it. You don't have to be the helpless victim anymore. Then, want to find out how to do that? Let's go. This episode of the Zen Supermom podcast is for you. Hi Supermom, my name is Alena and I'm a mommy tantrum specialist because I used to be a specialist at yelling and losing my patience and having big emotions that I couldn't control, like anger, frustration, injustice, especially during holidays, because I felt like, when is it going to be my time to enjoy? I'm spending so much time and energy thinking about how to make everybody happy, feeling like I need to plan 10 steps in advance. I caught myself feeling stressed out the entire time, looking forward to going home where everybody knows what they're doing and it's much easier to keep up with the routines and the daily rhythm. So that meant less stress. So I realized I was looking forward to the holidays to end and being at home so that I can breathe again. And then I was making those beautiful photo books for my daughter. And I was sorting out through the holiday pictures, seeing my face there, trying to fake a smile and trying to fake how happy I was, while I remembered exactly what I was thinking about in those moments. It's just like, okay, now I need to survive this day. Now I need to survive that. Now I need to plan this. And like, okay, let's just hold it together. I was like mentally bracing myself for impact, just trying to survive, for everybody to have a great time and for me to sacrifice all my energy and willpower just to make it good for them so that we can come home and I can relax a little more. And I just realized, well, how pathetic, how sad is that? It's like, and what does that mean for my future? Does that mean that I can relax and enjoy holidays only like 10, 15 years from now when my daughter is a big girl and she can take care of myself? Like, what the heck? Of course not. She will not even want to go on holidays with us when she's 15, 18 probably. I need to enjoy it now when she's little. And how cute is it? Like, everybody's seeing those videos of your cute little kids like wobbling in the sand or somewhere in the forest, and you're like, everybody is, oh, this is so good, and you're having such a great time, and you're thinking like you're dying inside. Yeah, I'm dramatizing. But if you know what I mean, then this episode is really for you, because that's what I wanted to talk about. It changed everything for me when I realized that the reason is not, as I said in the intro, is not about what's happening outside and the fact that I do have more work and it takes more computing power for my brain to stay on track. It was all going back. It was all going back to some older patterns. So let me check with you. Think about the last time you lost it on holidays or weekend trip. Yeah. Think about the situation, what was going on. And just before you lost it and you either yelled or you collapsed down and started crying, how did it feel right before you lost it? And it's not even about what was happening outside and what were other people saying or doing or not saying or doing, but what did you make that mean about you? Because I know in those moments when I would get triggered the most, it felt like, and it was typically in situations when I was trying so hard, organize everything, plan everything in advance, and then my daughter either, like, she would have a meltdown because she was super excited and then something happened and she couldn't get it, or she was too tired, hungry, she didn't sleep well enough. And so then she would start crying, whining, and I felt like it's not allowed to be upset on holidays. Holidays is supposed to be the good time. So then part of me felt like, you should be having a good time. Why are you not happy? Right? And now that I'm saying that, like, I'm laughing at myself, right? Because it's ridiculous. How do you want to push somebody into being happy? But I felt desperate in that moment. I felt totally helpless and out of control. It's like, how is that even possible? I spent so much money and time and energy and my own sleep and my own life to prepare this beautiful experience. And how come it's not happening? How come it's not going the way I want? Have you ever been there? Yeah. So if you cannot laugh at it yet, like, that's totally cool. Like, please don't get triggered by my laughing. I'm mainly laughing at myself because this is what it was for me. And that's, as I said, that's why I'm never going to judge anybody, because I know exactly how desperate and unfair that feels. Yeah. But check in really, what is it that you felt underneath? And if you had other feelings than what I described, like how I was emotionally processing that situation, it might be something else for you. Yeah. By the way, this is why I was also sharing on social media as of last week. I'm opening few spots on this podcast to coach women, to coach moms like you, because I keep talking here in an empty screen and trying to just share what is true for me or what is true for majority of women I've worked with over the years. But your case might be completely different, and maybe me sharing my story from my perspective is not helping, and you're thinking, yes, but da 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 da, and you have different reason, you have different circumstances, there is a different situation that you feel like you're fighting with and not getting enough help with. So I'm opening a few spots on this podcast where I'll be inviting normal moms like you. I'm not interested in creating even more spotlight for some whatever influencers and experts, and like, you go and read their books, watch their podcasts. But I want to bring in real moms with real struggle so that I can help you right here. Because when you ask me your specific questions and yes, buts, I'll be able to help you much more. Yeah. So there's an application you can fill in to request being on the podcast, share what's going on for you. And I'm going to review all of these applications myself personally. And let's do, maybe you will be in the next episode of the Zen Supermom podcast and you will get the help you're needing. Okay. So that just like a little sidetrack. Back to holidays. Okay, so what is actually going on? Depending on how you felt right before you lost it, I would invite you to get that feeling. So for me, I was feeling helpless, out of control, and that kind of like, this is not fair. It's not my fault. I tried my best. It's not my fault that there's so much drama. So whatever it is for you, lock it in. You can even write it down if you want. And then we need to take the next step, because the next step is either who made you feel this way when you were growing up, or in what situations have you felt this way before in general. Okay. Because if this is such a strong trigger for your nervous system, that would indicate normally that this is not the first time you felt this way. And it's not even about any like toxic, abusive exes relationships that who made you feel helpless and worthless. It's not even about childhood, like school time bullying during, when you were a teenager or a preteen. And people made you like worthless, and no matter how hard you try to control and shrink or people please and be nice, they would still attack you. It's not even about that. It's usually going back to the first 6 years of your life. And it's not even for people who went through trauma in their childhood. My intention is not to trigger anybody and like open any old wounds. But it was even for people like me who grew up having happy, healthy childhood, no drama, no trauma. This was actually, I realized only when I did this exercise, I realized I'm exactly acting like my mom. And this is not to blame my mom for anything. She did the best she could. But she was my role model on how to manage stressful situations. And so no matter how much willpower, how great intentions I had, no matter how much I loved my daughter, I realized I was still reenacting my mom's patterns. Because whenever it got tough, it was like an autopilot would switch on. And it was my mom's autopilot, because this is exactly how my mom was every single holiday. She was over planning, over scheduling, over controlling, putting all the energy on other people to be happy, and then being the resentful martyr if people did not react the way she expected them. She expected us to. Whenever we were tired, overwhelmed, or not happy and grateful for what she was doing, then she would get upset. And sooner or later, even if we were happy, then a part of her would get jealous that we are enjoying, but it's at her cost because she's the planner, she's the organizer and the leader, so she cannot. There was a belief in her that it's her responsibility to take care of others, and therefore she cannot take care of herself. It would be selfish to take care of herself. And again, not even my mom's fault, because that's how she grew up as the eldest of 3 sisters. She was always made to feel responsible for them, and she even saved her baby sister's life one day because she almost drowned her sister. So that's how strongly it was anchored in my mom's nervous system. That's why I'm always repeating everywhere, every chance I get, I'm not blaming my mom for anything. And I don't think the answer is for you to blame your parents or grandparents, caretakers, whoever was a role model for you in how to manage stressful situations, and in this case in self-sacrificing and in feeling selfish that you cannot enjoy until and unless other people are enjoying, and even then it's selfish for you to enjoy. Like, this is what's wired, and especially for women, this is part of our generational patterns that are wired into our system since very early on, that our responsibility is to nurture others. And while that is true, that it is one of our gifts of empathy and nurturing, we have the ability to do that, and we get satisfaction if we do. That part is true. But then there's a second part in that generational belief that tells you you can't do that for yourself. You don't deserve to feel satisfied and nurture yourself. And that's the part that's wrong. And we all see that every single day and every single holiday if you're experiencing this drama as well. Make sense? So this is what I'm talking about when I say rewire and when I talk about generational patterns and beliefs. Because this is what we were raised to believe. It is our responsibility to make sure everybody is happy. And there's the equation. It is selfish if you relax, if you take time off, and if you actually take a moment to enjoy, and you are part of the people who are enjoying. You feel like you always need to be outside, and you need to be always observing, monitoring, managing, directing, so that they are happy, but you are kind of outside because you do not deserve to be happy. You are not worthy enough, and it's not appropriate, and it would be selfish if you wanted to be part of that group who's enjoying. Makes sense? And this is what I realized was killing my joy and my ability to rest, relax, and actually be part of that experience. And what so many like spiritual leaders and coaches are talking about, like be in the now, in the present moment. That's what they mean, right? Because we are not, I don't know how about you, but I was not able to be in the present moment. I was always 10 steps ahead, thinking what needs to happen next and how I need to organize and shift and change and help everybody, completely disregarding for what was happening in my own body and my nervous system. Yeah. So this is what I would encourage you to dive into. And the next time you're planning holidays or you are enjoying a weekend off with your kids, start paying more attention to your, they call it inner dialogue, but basically like what are the stories that you're telling yourself in your head? What is the story? What is the narrative? What are the voices? What is the blah, blah, blah in your head? What is it telling you? Stop taking it for granted, because that's why it has so much power and why it's such a strong autopilot, because we don't even notice that most often. Because it's part of your normal daily blah, 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 right? Even if it's quiet, you're not talking to anybody else, but there's constantly blah, blah, blah in your head. Did you notice? So start paying attention to that and start catching that judge in your head, the inner critic, who's maybe criticizing other people, but the stronger usually the criticism is outside, the stronger you criticize yourself as well, even without realizing. And then specifically if you have a hard time enjoying holidays and if you're losing your patience and feeling exhausted from it, there will be a strong people pleaser typically. Yeah. So that's rooted in that belief, I'm not worthy, I cannot enjoy, my whole purpose is to make other people happy, and I cannot be happy even when they are happy and even less so when they are struggling. So start listening to those stories of the people pleaser, because this is typically the reason why people have problems with then boundaries as well, saying no. And why so many moms have problems being in the moment and enjoying and feeling worthy. This one is really very closely linked to our sense of self-worth. And as moms, we feel less than. We feel like we don't deserve. Our purpose is to live through kids. And if you play it out to the extreme, and if you can think of any female relatives, like elder women in your family or in your environment, there will probably at least one that you could identify as the example of the classic, like the bitter, resentful, like sour person who feels like I sacrificed and they are so ungrateful and I gave you my whole life, I sacrificed everything for, how dare you want to live it in a different way than what I had in mind for you. And we don't want to end up this way, right? Again, not judging anybody. I can completely see how that developed for them, and I can only imagine what they went through when they were little and when they were in the middle age. But we don't want to end up this way, do we? So it's time to start rewiring. So my invitation is for you, get present to what are the stories in your head. Then either fill in that application for that coaching hot seat here on the Zen Supermom podcast, or even better, join me for the next live Mommy Tantra Masterclass. I'm doing them now weekly and live until the holidays. So catch one before we go on holidays, because then I'm going to put them on evergreen on demand. And I will not be doing them live, of course, because I'm not going to burn myself out as a people pleaser. I'm not going to sacrifice my summer holidays just so that I can make you happy. So catch me live in those weekly Mommy Tantra Masterclasses now, before the summer starts, so that we can give you more clarity about exactly what generational patterns you have and what specifically for you it would take to rewire that. Because the time is now. I'm recording this episode at the end of May. You will be going on holidays soon if you're going anywhere, or your kids will be out of school or kindergarten soon, so they will be spending most of the time at home with you. And you definitely want to start rewiring and cleaning that up before the summer starts, because you do not want to have the same summer as you did last year, do you? Yeah. So let me help you. I'm going to see you inside that Mommy Tantra Masterclass or here in the coaching seat in the Zen Supermom podcast. Take very good care, Supermom. Like, your kids are lucky to have you. I will keep repeating that, because this is so much more, and I hope you see that now. This is so much more than just parenting scripts and what do I do then? And what should I tell my kids when they have a tantrum on holidays? Like, asking in those parenting Facebook groups, like, please, can we see now? This is much bigger. And before we start talking about what we need to help fix with our kids, let's start rewiring where we are actually contributing and where we are not being the healthy role model. Not because I'm pointing fingers or making you guilty, but because I want to empower you. You have much more power and control, actually, healthy way of control, than what you give yourself the credit for. We just need to rewire some of these generational beliefs that jump in as autopilot and then we sound like our moms. Yeah, let's do it. See you there, Supermom.